Hey guys, welcome to your lunar astrological horoscope, the lunar eclipse full moon in Leo. How you all doing today? Welcome. We're going to be talking about this massive lunar eclipse full moon that we've been kind of anticipating for the last couple days, if not weeks. It's the kind of the first big event of the year, aside from the super full moon that we had at the beginning of January. And we're going to be seeing a lot of radical changes. And of course, because it's not only a full moon, but it is a lunar eclipse, this type of energy is going to be sticking around with us somewhere between 3 to 6 months. It's generally a big game changer throughout the year. And preceding the lunar eclipse, we will be having our solar eclipse in February. And again, these energies will fade away by the time we get to our next eclipses, which will be in Leo season. So let's go ahead and get into it and see what we got going on. As you would expect, whoopsie, that's not what you would expect. Sagittarius, gotta mess everything up. So as you would expect, we have the sun will be opposing our moon here. 11 degrees Leo with 11 degrees in Aquarius, and that will be around 8:30 a.m. which, if you guys are night owls like we have been the last couple weeks, you might be awake for this. There's a number of aspects that I will want to go over in regards to this lunar eclipse here. So first things first that we need to mention is the fact that this moon is going to be conjunct this Ceres by literally only 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So we're talking about, Selene, the moon goddess, the white robed lady, if you will, conjunct literally mother herself. So this is huge. And this is going to be dealing a lot with, motherhood, traditional motherhood, obviously, because the moon is the ruler of Cancer. It's going to be talking about things like stay-home mothers, single mothers, working mothers. This is going to be a very huge role for all types of mothers out there, especially so much so because Leo, the 5th house, does tend to rule children. So this is going to be a very big moment for that. And as this is opposing the sun in Aquarius, we might be seeing a lot of legal issues come into play as far as single mothers, working mothers, or even spouses together with children. We might see things like single mothers possibly being pushed away from societal engineering. We might be seeing a lot of legal debates and a lot of things taking place in courts in regards to children, separations. This could be a big time for that because Aquarius does rule the legal system and the courts. So, I'm not saying go get divorces right now, but if you happen to be the mother of children and your spouse is a loaded man, you may be winning a separation legal action if it happens to take place around this time period. If you're trying to initiate it now, you're fucked. You're not going to be able to get it in time. However, if you're having a legal situation at this moment, that a separation with children, whether it be like the custody of children or things relating to like assets or finances and all of that, most likely it's going to lean towards the mothers. It's going to lean towards women. This is a very big time for women to really win court cases regarding things of this nature. And regarding things of this nature being, courts and stuff, we might also see a greater how do I say this, a greater push or a greater nurture for women's rights, equality, things like equal pay. I mean, we don't necessarily have a lot of Libra energy here, so as far as law going, it may not be the biggest thing, but we do have a lot of Aquarian energy. So even if we can't, write in laws specifically for helping out women, we could pass judicial actions that can then affect women and femininity as a whole moving forward into the future. Because the sun is going to be opposing this extreme female energy in Leo, as well as having the North Node there, if you may also have emotional problems in regards to you as a mother or you as a child with your mother. If you've, maybe had a bad upbringing, or maybe you had a lot of tension, this might be a time in which you may be in your emotions quite a bit in regards to that nature relating to your caregiver at home. And now I also want to add that single fathers would also be added in here, because although they are, male and still breadwinners, they are being the nurturer here. And Ceres doesn't necessarily discriminate in that regard. If you are the nurturer of the family, if you are a single father for your children, you would also fall in line with Selene and Ceres here. So not to leave out my single men out there who have kids, you guys are part of this. You are taking a feminine role, or traditionally thought of as a feminine role. So you will be blessed in that regard. We also have, there's so much to talk about in this chart. I took down an entire section of notes because it's quite a bit. We have this energy here, this feminine energy in conjunct with Neptune. And this is where I said before, if you have a lot of problems with mothers and stuff, this is where you may end up being drowned in your own emotions a little bit. Because Neptune in Pisces is very emotional. It is the mermaid, if you will. And because of that, you may, unconsciously walk into the sea of emotions. You could have had a paranoia or suspicion or mistrust with relationship relating with matriarchal women. And this might be a moment in which you kind of really reflect on that. But I definitely don't want you to drown yourself in it, especially because we also do have Chiron in Pisces as well. So there is a chance here for healing if you would accept it. Just make sure that you don't let yourself, drown in those negative emotions. Because of this conjuncture here, we're going to have definitely a lot of attention being, the spotlight basically being put on condition of women in traditional families, working families, single families, or even single pair house families. So definitely we have this trine to Vesta in Sagittarius, and so we may be talking about things like the faith, belief, and structures of our belief system of women in these roles. Definitely can see a lot of whether this is something that things should have always been like this. Is it a time for a change? Is it time to go on adventures essentially and not necessarily stay stuck in a certain role? Or with Mars there as well, you might have actions that will highlight a lot of these key issues about what, single nurture families ought to be like, or require more assistance to them. As always, our moon does represent our emotions, sometimes our subconscious, habits, memories, moods, emotional stability, security, and most of all, maternal instincts. Where our Ceres here really does represent that motherly love, that female bond, the family bonds, our relationship with our family. As the grain goddess, she does rule things over like plants, foods, harvests, crops, natural resources, and of course the environment, which is quite interesting since usually with full moons we say that we're reaping what we sow. We're grabbing our crops and our harvest, and you could not be more accurate in this particular regard. As far as the moon conjunct Neptune, I read a very interesting line as I was doing my own research, and it was quite interesting. And I wanted to really, read it out to you guys because it really highlights the almost unconscious darkness that is part of our emotions at times, right? So, with this aspect that we have going on with Neptune and the moon, it really illuminates the nocturnal sea mist and the inkling black oceans of infinity and unfathomable distance. It is the ethereal mermaid slipping in and out of the waves, impossible to catch. The moon glistens over her tail as she flashes in and out of view, teasing the eyes just out of reach. Only she can navigate by sound and feelings because it is hard to trust your eyes here. And I found that really freaking interesting because it's exactly what you would expect of somebody who may have had issues growing up with with their nurturers, in most cases of course your mothers. And it's that whole you can't really trust what you see anymore because you've been betrayed by your sight, and so you're beginning to have to rely on other ways to be able to fill in the gaps that have been made from that upbringing. And even more so because Ceres is retrograding right now. So these people will be feeling that very intensely and very internally. And so with this aspect, we kind of really have that whole, we can see it just barely, but it slips away from us. It's an emotion that is there, but it's hard to really grab it because it's not exactly tangible. You can't logic emotions. They just exist. And so really trying to convert them, if you will, really trying to heal them, try to purify the seas of your emotion is going to be the aim here. And of course it becomes that much difficult because with Piscean energy we definitely have those problems with boundaries, those psychic sponges. We're very sensitive to our environment that we're in, so definitely a time period that can make things a little bit difficult in that regard. But it also means that there's a huge opportunity for healing. And we say that because, of course, we still have our Mars in conjunct our Athena, which is really about finding stability, being able to use our actions to really be able to pursue a direction in life that is more stable for ourselves. We still have Aries or Uranus in Aries. We're still going through a lot of personal changes. Aries does represent the first house, which is of the self. It's also, our self-identity, our self-expression. It's everything of who we are, the beginning of our core self. And with Uranus being here, there's still a lot of personal changes that are still taking place. So, realizing that we have, problems in those regards, taking that energy of Uranus and really making a lot of changes within ourselves, and then being able to find direction with Mars and Athena making their sextile here. And, the way to be able to find your direction is going to be through the support of Saturn, as Saturn is trining Athena here in both earth signs. These are karmic lessons. I know that today for the lunar eclipse, there's going to be a lot of karma that's going to be paid out. If you're like Aquarian karma or Leo karma specifically, those are definitely going to be paid out if you've been working towards them, if you've been making the effort to change things. However, finding stability is not always the easiest thing, and in most cases, they are karmically driven. So in order for you to find the stability, you're going to realize that karma is at play here. And speaking about karma, although I don't want to allude too much to Mercury's video tomorrow, I do need to talk about the fact that Mercury is at the 29th degree of Capricorn here during our lunar eclipse on the 59th minute. So as soon as this lunar eclipse occurs, within less than 30 minutes, Mercury is going to be hopping over to Aquarius. This eclipse is paying out people's karma. If you've been watching my videos for the last couple weeks, you guys have known that we have been following Mercury for quite some time now. Mercury was in Sagittarius. Mercury did not want to enter Capricorn yet because it was not prepared, and so it decided to retrograde. Only when Saturn finally was in Capricorn first was when Mercury was able to enter Capricorn. And because of that, this was a very karmic transit. Now, this last week that we've been in has felt a little bit slow, but it's not because anything is actually going slow. It's because so many things are going so fast that we don't have the mental process to keep up with everything. And so all of this karmic debt is coming to an end. Our selves that have been pushing through this karma are going to pay it off and be able to rid ourselves of the chains that have been holding us as it moves into Aquarius. We will be freed from our binds and will be able to continue moving forward as a free bird. The latch has been removed. The door has been opened. You are now allowed to fly. We've been wanting to fly. We've been desiring the freedom to be able to fly. And we've been committed to want to do this, but we haven't been able to do so yet. And as Mercury enters Aquarius, that will be the moment in which our mind will be set free. Our mind will be set free and we will be able to fly. We have that going on. Of course, we still have our T-square with the nodes to Jupiter. So, I mean, y'all know what this has been all about. Jupiter has been in Scorpio this entire time. It's been uncovering all of the darkness that has been left within us. It's been pulling up everything that Saturn caused through its transit there. And as Jupiter is tailing Saturn, this is definitely about coming into the realization and belief about what exactly has occurred. And with Jupiter squaring these nodes, we're very not exactly sure whether we want to move into the future or not. Jupiter has definitely been having a hard time with his faith and his belief in being able to meet the expectations of having the optimism to move forward. This is a challenging aspect. However, it's not necessarily a opposition. This isn't a back and forth. This is a square. This is tension. And this tension isn't here to hold you back, but to be able to move you forward. You need to overcome the tension in your life. Place the faith where it needs to be that you will be able to move forward, especially having these two placements in Sagittarius. This is all about blind faith in the adventure that you're going in. This is Mars taking actions based on faith and not necessarily logic. This is be able to take the applications of everything that you've gone through in the last 8 signs and really be able to put this towards more philosophical reasonings. This is taking your knowledge and your experience and moving forward with it. So definitely a lot of energy here for progression, paying out karma, a rise for a femininity as a whole. I mean, think about it. With the moon here in Leo, with the North Node, and with Ceres, this is basically women coming to take their role as the matriarch. This is about being the queen, or in some cases king, of your own jungle. To realize that you do have the inner strength to be able to do what it is that you wish. To know that you have the energy, the vitality, the courage to be able to move forward with who it is that you want to be. It's time to stop going on with the old, with the past, with the structures, with the traditions. There's no need for it. There's no need for it. And Jupiter in Scorpio has been exposing the Me Too hashtag movement, making sure that Scorpionic men are being put on the spot and people are beginning to realize what it is that they've done, what crimes they have committed. And the change, or the potential for change, is here. This is why Jupiter is squaring all of this. I mean, think about Jupiter as far as who he really is. It's Zeus. Zeus is a womanizer. I mean, I'm just going to say it as it is. He's being exposed left and right. And now squaring this feminine energy, all three of these signs together on a lunar eclipse. Yeah. Like, even Juno is squaring Zeus right now. This is a huge exposure, and it's a time for change. Venus and Juno are working together in Aquarius, trying to get shit freed and be able to move forward with what it is that they want, while the moon and Ceres are over in Leo, trying to inspire and revitalize women. And of course, we have the Pallas Athena in Taurus telling people to move into a more stable direction. Vesta in Sagittarius, it's time to trust your own faith and belief and go into the adventure that you know you need to be going to. This is a lot of female energy for a push forward. I mean, don't get me wrong, us guys can also take advantage of this energy, but this is a huge moment for female energy to really break the chains that have been holding them back. So, I mean, we even have a big tricolor here. Not sure if I really want to particularly talk about that. Going from Mars and Vesta over to Neptune, and then Neptune going to the Moon, Ceres, North Node, and then back up to Vesta and Sag, you know. Taking actions and being comfortable to adventure with your own faith and beliefs is going to be difficult because we're emotionally in our own dark sea of issues. However, the inconjunct to this over here is really about us learning that we don't need to be a slave to our emotions. We don't need to be a prison to our emotions. We don't need to allow the circumstances around us to hold us back. That we do have the strength, that we do have the courage, that we do have the vitality needed to be the king or queen of our own jungle and to be able to push forward, break free, and take the reins of your own future. That you don't need to give up your freedom to anyone else. That you don't need to give up your liberty to anyone else to maintain a status quo that does not give a shit about you and has been only pushing you down and not caring for you. This is a moment to, you know, break the habit, as Linkin Park would say. It's time to break it. Mercury at the end of Capricorn is just saying we are done here. It's over. It's time to move forward. Enough of this. So definitely a lot of energy here for progression. I mean, and I told you guys, I called it. February, we're going to see some cases, legal cases, court cases. We have a lot of Aquarius energy here. We're also going to have our solar eclipse in Aquarius. Huge time period. Huge time period. There's going to be a change, a transformation in our structures, in our traditions, in our possibly even government. We've been calling this for a while. And this is all karmically driven. This is all karmically driven. Don't think that things like this are by coincidences. As Ichihara Yuko-sama would say, there is no such thing as a coincidence. There is only the inevitable. Things happen for reasons. As somebody who has Jupiter in the 12th house, I am very well aware that things happen for reasons. I will spit lines like I am one of the best inspirational people in the world, not knowing exactly what the hell I'm saying. And then like 2 weeks later, realize that that same person just went through a situation in which I was giving them advice for, and boom, they were ready for it. Maybe they didn't do it successfully, but they were ready for it. And then I'm like, oh my God, I totally said that. Like, I called it. I didn't even know about this. Like, I had no idea. And all of a sudden, boom, it happened. So, again, definitely a moment for finishing up self-transformations, realizing that you don't need to be held back anymore, finding stability in your life, not being bogged down by your own emotions, but learning that there is a moment for healing here, finding more freedom in your life, using the emotional courage within you to break the chains that have been holding you back, realizing that there is nothing that you can't do, that the adventure to be able to move into the future you want to experience is all in your hands. And knowing that even though you don't have high expectations, or even thinking that your optimism isn't too high about this, know that it's all in your head and that you can make anything happen. You can move into the future you want to be. Because that time is now. This lunar eclipse is going to be big. And I'm just very glad to be here to be a part of it. So, once again, guys, thank you for being amazing. Thank you for watching. Thank you all. Really, really, I do mean it. I will be back, of course, with the Mercury into Aquarius video. I'm not sure if I'm going to be putting out with these 3 videos, or if I am going to be putting out with the next 2 videos, because it technically does take place on Wednesday, but it is after the lunar eclipse. So perhaps I'll set that as our new fresh start for the second half of the week. And till then, yeah, it's all up to you guys. You make the shots, you make the plays. Follow your intuition and know that there's no reason to give in to fear or any darkness within. Stay safe, stay positive, and I'll be catching you guys on the next cast. Peace.